Right now, as you're listening to this, there are billions of stars out there beyond our Earth. Planets, maybe even civilizations we can't imagine. So, where is everyone? I'm hoping this video gives your mind a place to rest tonight. Will you fall asleep? Maybe. Maybe not. What matters is that for the next little while, you can let go of whatever's been racing through your head today. The deadlines, the worries, the endless mental chatter. Instead, we're going to explore something beautiful and mysterious together. Something that's puzzled scientists for decades and might just help you see our place in the universe a little differently. So, get comfortable. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Now, let's dive in to one of the most fascinating questions humanity has ever asked. If the universe is so vast and full of possibilities, why does it feel so quiet? Hello? Is anybody out there? This question has haunted humanity for generations. Are we alone in the universe? And if we're not alone, then where is everyone? Have you ever stood in a place so quiet you could hear the sound of your own heartbeat? A quiet so deep, it feels like a presence, a weight. We think of silence as an absence, as emptiness. But what if it isn't? What if silence, a truly profound silence, isn't an absence of noise, but instead, it's a way for us to hear? But what is there to hear? For over 60 years, we've been actively listening to the cosmos, searching for any sign that we're not alone. We've built massive radio telescopes, sent messages into space, and scanned thousands of star systems. And what have we found? Silence. Complete, profound silence. Or so they say. Imagine this. The year is 1950. The brilliant physicist Enrico Fermi is having lunch with colleagues when the conversation turns to UFOs and extraterrestrial life. Suddenly, Fermi blurts out, "But where is everybody?" It seemed like such a simple question, but it cuts right to the heart of one of the universe's greatest mysteries. That lunchtime question became the Fermi Paradox, the profound contradiction between the high probability that intelligent alien life exists and the great silent absence of any evidence for it. Think about it. Our galaxy alone contains over 100 billion stars. Many of these stars have planets. Some of these planets are in the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water. If life is common in the universe, if intelligence evolves naturally, then where are all the aliens? Really, The cosmos should be a jungle, teeming with endless life forms, beings that are beautiful and glorious and terrifying. We should be living in the Star Wars cantina, but we're not. When we listen, there seems to be only silence, a great cosmic, deafening silence. This is the Fermi Paradox, and it asks the simplest, most terrifying question: where is everybody? In 1961, astronomer Frank Drake tried to quantify this puzzle with what we now call the Drake equation. It's not really meant to give us a definitive answer, but rather to help us think about all the factors that might determine how many communicating civilizations exist in our galaxy. Let's walk through it together. We start with the rate of star formation in our galaxy. About 7 new stars are born every year. Then we ask, what fraction of those stars have planets? Thanks to missions like Kepler, we now know it's probably most of them. So what fraction of those planets could support life? Those are our Goldilocks planets, the ones that are not too hot and not too cold. We've estimated that there are billions of habitable planets in the universe, but about 1 in 5 sun-like stars may have an Earth-sized planet in the habitable zone. Okay, then what fraction actually develops life? But wait, we're looking not just for life, we're looking for intelligence. So, what fraction of these planets develop intelligent life? That one is impossible for us to know, really. But just for fun, let's say that 1 billion planets in the galaxy have life. And then let's say that just 1% of those planets evolve complex life. That's 10 million planets. If just 1% of those develop intelligence like ours, that's 100,000 intelligent civilizations. That's not nothing. So, for all those intelligent civilizations, how often do they decide to send signals out into the great silence? How often do they say, hey, we're here, we're thinking, we're reaching. Is anybody out there? That's a choice to be vulnerable in the face of the unknown. So how often do they send signals? Maybe rarely. Maybe often. Maybe constantly, and we just haven't learned how to listen yet. But the fact that we even ask this question, that means that we might someday answer it. Finally, and this might be the crucial question, how long do these civilizations last? We don't know. But if Earth were a day old, our entire spacefaring, signal-sending story would be a single second before midnight. Therefore, this vastness of time means that even if millions of civilizations have risen, their signals may never overlap. When Drake first did this calculation, depending on your assumptions, you could get anywhere from less than 1 civilization in our galaxy to millions. That's quite a range. But here's what's unsettling. Even the most conservative estimates suggest that we should have detected something by now. So the question is then, have we ever heard anything at all? Yes, at least once. On a warm August night in 1977, an astronomer named Jerry Eman was scanning the skies with the Big Ear radio telescope in Ohio. It was a routine scan until the printer spit out a string of characters so unusual, so powerful, that Eamon circled them in red ink and wrote one word in the margin. Wow. That one signal, lasting just 72 seconds, came from the constellation Sagittarius. It matched the frequency we'd expect an alien civilization to use. It was strong, clean, and never repeated. Was it a cosmic coincidence? A secret satellite? A whisper from a distant intelligence? We still don't know. But for a moment, just a moment, it felt like the universe was whispering back. And then, silence again. And yet, we haven't given up. We're still listening. And while we're out there listening to the cosmos, we also seem to be drawn to create our own moments of silence down here. Think about it. Aren't you tempted to look for a quiet place? Are you maybe being called to turn your phone off more often? Step away from the chatter and just listen? Maybe you felt this too? That pull towards stillness. We go to the forest, to the desert, to the edge of the water. We tell ourselves it's for peace, for clarity. But I wonder if something deeper is happening. Something in us is reaching out. Something in us is listening. What if our personal search for silence and the cosmic silence we've discovered are connected? What if every time you find yourself in a quiet moment, you're participating in the same profound mystery that keeps astronomers awake at night? You know that feeling when you're the last person awake in your house and the world feels like it's holding its breath? Or when you step outside on a clear night and suddenly feel both infinitely small and somehow connected to everything? That's the feeling Fermi was getting at. That sense that the universe should be bustling with activity, with voices, with signals. But instead, we find this profound quiet. So, where is everyone? The most straightforward answer to the Fermi Paradox is maybe the most chilling. It's called the Great Filter. The idea is that for any seed of life to grow into a star-faring civilization, it must pass through a series of incredibly difficult, near impossible steps. It could be that the filter is behind us. Maybe the jump from non-life to life, or from simple cells to complex animals, is so fantastically rare that we are the first and only ones that made it through. We're a cosmic lottery winner, born into an empty universe. Or maybe the filter is ahead of us. It's like a challenge that every civilization must face. and that none have ever survived. In this version, the silence isn't empty. It's a graveyard, a warning. Not my favorite option. But this assumes that the silence is perfect, and yet it's not. Recently, the silence has been punctuated by glitches, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, objects witnessed by trained pilots, tracked on advanced radar, performing maneuvers that defy our known laws of physics. We don't know what they are, but could this be evidence that the silence is not as complete as we thought? A brief, fleeting sign of something else? Something more? These glitches force us to another possible explanation. Maybe what's out there is so advanced that we can't recognize their technology. What if advanced life communicates through gravity or neutrinos or in dimensions we can't see? What if they've transcended the physical world, doing something like uploading their consciousness into pure energy or merging with the fabric of space-time itself? We search for radio waves because that's what we know how to do. Except that's like searching the entire ocean for whales when you've only brought a dog whistle. A bit like those hearing tests where you listen to a sound frequency that's rising and rising, and once you stop hearing it, they tell you, hey, you're too old to hear the higher frequencies. Well, maybe in this case, we're too young. So, if we can't assume that all life would look, sound, and act like us, and we can't assume that they'd be noisy or that they'd even want to be found, then how can we even say for certain that they aren't already here? And what if they are? Already here, I mean, and we just don't know it. This is called the zoo hypothesis. It's the idea that advanced civilizations are out there in abundance, but they deliberately hide themselves from us. Maybe they're like cosmic conservationists, protecting us from a truth we aren't ready for. Do they treat us like an endangered species, left to grow in our own natural habitat with no interference? Or is this planet like a school, a place to struggle and learn and grow under the watchful eyes of our more advanced relatives? Or is it something more sinister? Are they already here and using us and ours for their own ends? Are they hurting us under the cover of not being real? Would we even know it if they were? And why are we discouraged from even asking that question? There is another possibility, one closer to home. Maybe the filter isn't out there. Maybe the silence comes after a civilization becomes too advanced. Once a species builds AI powerful enough to reshape reality or upload minds into digital utopias, what happens? Do they transcend? Do they forget the stars? Or do they fall into something we can't understand? A kind of event horizon of progress? Some call this the singularity trap, the idea that every intelligent species eventually creates something it can't control, and therefore the silence isn't cosmic, it's post-technological, a hush that follows every peak. Yet another, darker theory asks, what if the silence isn't a glitch? What if the silence is a strategy? Equal parts chilling and logical, this theory is called the dark forest hypothesis. In this model, the universe is like a vast dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter, armed and alert, hiding behind the trees, listening. And if you make noise, you might not like what hears you. Like a science fiction horror movie where the first to speak doesn't survive. Therefore, no one sends signals, no one waves hello, because in a dark forest, the only rule is survival. To be silent is to be safe. If this were the case, then the silence wouldn't be so surprising. Then maybe we are the reckless ones, the noisy neighbor yelling into the void, and maybe, just maybe, the universe is quietly deciding what to do about that. This isn't my favorite hypothesis either. Enrico Fermi asked the question, but it was his colleague Edward Teller who gave the whisper that stayed with people. After Fermi asked, "Where is everybody?" Teller reportedly muttered, "Maybe they do know we're here, but they're afraid." Afraid of what? Well, maybe of us. At the time, Teller had just helped unleash the hydrogen bomb, a device capable of tearing continents apart. The mines at Los Alamos had split the atom. We had become visible to the universe, not with a whisper, but with a scream. So, what if silence isn't absence, but avoidance? What if we've already joined a cosmic conversation, but not as participants, as a warning label? Maybe Earth is the galactic bad neighborhood, and the passing ships, they lock their doors. The weird thing is, right around this time, when Fermi was questioning and Edward Teller was whispering, strange things started happening in the skies above Los Alamos, Sandia, and White Sands. Declassified military memos now reveal that unidentified objects were seen repeatedly hovering near nuclear test sites. These objects were tracked on radar. They were watched by scientists, but they were never explained. What if we didn't find aliens? What if they found us and kept their distance? Yet, even after everything, we couldn't let go of the question. So, our old friend Frank Drake decided to listen. In 1960, Drake pointed a radio telescope at two nearby stars, Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani, and he listened. It was the first time Earth tried to catch a message, not from the divine or the dead, but from other minds. He called it Project Ozma, after the ruler of an imaginary kingdom in the land of Oz, a place full of strange and unusual beings who were very far away and hard to reach. That wasn't just whimsy, that was hope. We weren't just waiting anymore, we were reaching. Maybe someone out there is just like us, and they're listening too. It's possible that across the galaxy, on worlds we can't even imagine, other beings are stepping away from their own noise, seeking their own quiet moments, and wondering the same thing we're wondering. Are we alone? Or could it be we're not looking at aliens at all? Maybe the thing we're reaching for is a version of ourselves. There's yet another theory, usually talked about in more philosophical circles. This one is called the mirror hypothesis. It says that the search for extraterrestrial life is really a reflection of our own need for meaning. We want to know we're not alone because deep down, we fear that we are. But what if the search itself is the answer? What if the act of looking, the questions we ask, the silences we ponder, what if that is the most profound sign of life? It has been said that you can't answer a question that hasn't been asked. What if the act of asking the question means that the answer is out there? Are we ready to find out? For us, the search continues. Projects like SETI, Breakthrough Listen, and others are scanning the skies with ever-sophisticated equipment. We're looking for radio signals, laser pulses, even signs of massive engineering projects. We're studying the atmospheres of distant planets, looking for the chemical signatures of life. But after all this searching, maybe we've been asking the wrong question. The great silence might not be a riddle about them. It might be a message about us. The silence doesn't make us small or insignificant. It makes us infinitely precious. In a silent universe, every piece of art, every act of love, every scientific discovery, every question we ask of the stars, these things are not just human activities. They are cosmic events. We are the universe's way of thinking, its way of feeling, its way of knowing itself. So, while we wait for that first confirmed signal from another world, we have this silence, this great silence that surrounds us. And maybe that silence isn't empty. Maybe it's full of possibilities. Maybe it's teaching us something about patience, about wonder, about what it means to be conscious beings in a vast universe. And maybe, just maybe, in learning to listen to the silence around us, we're preparing ourselves to hear the answer when it finally comes. Because someday, could be tomorrow, could be in 100 years, that silence might be broken. A signal might arrive, a message from the void. And when it does, we'll know that all those quiet moments, all that listening, all that wondering, it was all in preparation for the most important conversation in human history. So, how do we start the conversation? 2 decades after Project Ozma, we tried again. This time, we didn't send signals, we sent ourselves. In 1977, NASA launched 2 spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Their mission was to study the outer planets, but attached to each was something strange and beautiful. A golden record, really, an actual 12-inch gold-plated disc engraved with images, music, sounds, greetings in 55 languages. It was the idea of Carl Sagan and his team. The record had one message etched in the eternal hum of analog. We are here. Our golden record included whale songs, a kiss between a mother and child, blind children laughing, a Mozart symphony, the crackle of a thunderstorm in Africa. It wasn't a message of power or warning. It was a message of being. We didn't say, "Come find us." Instead, we said, "Hello, here's what it feels like to be human." Even if no one ever hears it, even if it drifts alone forever, that record turns the silence into a canvas. It makes the void into a mirror. And if someone does find it, someday, somewhere, then our first message to the stars won't be math or weapons. It will be a song. Hello? Is anybody there? We don't know yet, but one thing we know for sure. Here, on this tiny blue planet, life did arise. It was us. We're the life. We opened our eyes, we looked up, we asked questions, built rockets, we wrote poems, sang songs, and imagined beings doing the same elsewhere. So, maybe life is rare, maybe it's even fragile, but maybe consciousness is a flower that the universe keeps trying to bloom again and again, in dark places, in new spaces, in quiet corners. And just maybe, we're not alone. Not now. Not ever. Well, if your eyes are still open, I hope your thoughts feel a little farther away from the noise. Thank you for listening. If tonight's story helped you slow down, I hope you subscribe. There's always another mystery to explore, and I'd love to share it with you. No matter what, I wish you peace and good thoughts. Good night, dreamers.